Good morning. We're here today to review and enjoy this wonderful bottle of Scotch whiskey from the Bu- Bunnahabhain distillery in the Islay region of Scotland. It is obviously a single malt, unchill filtered, and all natural colored. It is a aged expression. Looks like a 12-year-old statement. Uh, of course, we know that single malt means this malt whiskey has not been in a relationship or is currently single at least, not married. So we all know that when you get a malt whiskey in a relationship, it ruins the flavor profile pretty quickly. So single malt is very important. And unchill filtered, we know that young whiskey is pretty intense to drink. So for age statements like such as this one, they usually filter out any whiskey that is not mellowed or chilled out. So any non-chill whiskey is filtered right out. And of course, all natural color means there's no cosmetic, foolery with the coloring or the appearance of this whiskey. So what you see is what you get. I'm sorry, I've been told that the name of this whiskey is not Bunnahabhain. This is actually pronounced Bunnahabhain from Islay. Islay is a well-known desert region of Scotland, known for giant cactuses. This particular bottle is not made from cactuses. I'm sorry, I've been corrected once more. This name is actually pronounced, I've been told, Bunnahabhain, named after Captain Bunnahabhain. As we can see here, he's on the logo, Captain Bunnahabhain. Bunnahabhain actually means bottom of the river, which is a unlucky name for a boat captain. So no one will really, crew his boat. So Captain Bunnahabhain basically went around alone, captaining his own boat. But that didn't stop him. He traveled all around the world and had many, many, many legendary adventures. Too many to tell here. But you can see from his portrait that he was too awesome, that his own awesomeness is preventing him from seeing very far. That's why he was shielding his eyes from his own awesomeness to see more clearly. One time, the captain gave ride to a young man named Marco Polo, and together they traveled to the Far East, to the nation of Japan, where at the capital city at the time, Saigon, they met the shogun who was ruling at the time. His name was Kubla-san. Kubla means Mr. in Japanese, and San means three. So his name's literally Mr. Three because he was the third child in the family. Anyway, that's where Kubla-san held court with his daimyos. And they loved the scotch brought by Captain Bunnahabhain. And they drank so much that night, they almost made him the Emperor of Japan. But the humble captain declined. The next morning, however, no one was happy, especially Kubla-san. His head felt it was used as a soccer ball at the World Cup, and he was about to penalty kick Captain Bunnahabhain into the afterlife when miraculously he was rescued by a ninja woodpecker. But that is another story for another day. This bad hangover was probably due to the fact that people at the time drank mostly sake or rice wine, or soju or other fruit-based alcohol, and so they weren't used to the intensity of the whiskey. I think the only thing that's comparable from Asia at the time and probably now is baijiu, which is a strong alcohol made from giant potatoes imported from the jungles of Nebraska. So a good example of baijiu is arguotou, which the name literally translates to two potheads. And I guess for a baijiu drinker, which I am not, the Bunnahabhain may be too complex and lacks the burn or punch of the baijiu. And for a Scotch drinker, I will guess the baijiu may be too strong. I mean, it might as well be made by like two potheads, like some moonshine they cooked up, and their palate will probably be nuked into oblivion for the next 5 weeks. But if anyone want to try this two pothead moonshine, they can probably purchase it from their local 666 ranch market, which is a popular Asian market in the area. After narrowly escaping with his life, Captain Bunnahabhain, of course, celebrated by drinking a ton of whiskey. And after many bottles, he found himself deep in his own butthole. And there, he He thought he tasted notes of nuttiness and chocolateness, and maybe a little hint of sea breeze and saltiness from the whiskey. It reminded him of that one time he spent 1,000 gold pieces to buy a box of dark chocolate with sea salt for his, at the time, girlfriend, and pretended to really enjoy right before she dumped him. There, deep in his own bunghole, the captain got in touch with his feelings and reflected upon his life. He had so many adventures and met so many different people, yet, for the most of the time, he traveled alone, and he had no family. He thought a full life only needed two things: a life lived on one's own terms, and at least one great love, whether it be someone or for something. The captain himself lived a life of freedom, and the true price of freedom is to be alone. The captain's great love is for whiskey, and the price for loving something rather than someone is that things cannot love you back. One might even argue that this type of life of quote-unquote freedom is self-centered and extremely selfish. But perhaps only the most selfish people are capable of real generosity. For when a person is truly independent and free from all relationships and obligations, only then, when they choose to give something of themselves freely, that which is given will have no strings attached, and which can be, in a certain sense, the purest form of charity. The captain came to terms with these facts about his life and felt satisfied. So alone on the water, with a bottle of whiskey in his hand, he sailed off into the sunset. The captain always knew that his story will likely end at the bottom of the river like his name. However, that did not happen. Many, many years later, Captain Bunnahabhain died in his sleep with a bottle of Bunnahabhain next to his bed. He was to the very end single malt, unchill filtered, and all natural colored. This particular whiskey represents its namesake very well. I mean, as you can see on this wonderful cup here, it says Bunnahabhain. And it is unique, complex, and extremely delicious, just like the captain himself. So let's have a toast and end the review of this wonderful product. Very tasty. Overall, I will give this product a 4 potheads out of 5. I will recommend it.